All right, everyone. I want to welcome you to episode 2 of the BlkOps podcast. This is our first episode at the gym with a guest and dual mics running. And we're excited to introduce you to MaryKate Williams. She's a friend. She's been a member at my gym. She also helped me find commercial real estate for the gym. So she's been a part of the story all along. We had shared a really special moment that we want to share with you. And it's a really cool experience we both had together and shared, and it's based in entrepreneurship. So today's call is going to be a little bit about inspiring you. It's about facing fears, and the overall theme is going to be called Jump Before It's Safe. And we're also sharing MaryKate's story and introducing you to her. So MaryKate, welcome to the show. And just if you could give us a little bit of a background on what's been going on with you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Super excited. This is legit. So MaryKate Williams, now Garman, just got married. So that's still getting used to that. But yeah, I am 29. So definitely like the infancy of my career, but got into real estate right out of college. I went to University of Delaware, long-term athlete. I think I learned to dribble a basketball before I could walk. So played basketball and volleyball all through high school, and then club sports at Delaware, played basketball there, and always had that like athlete mentality. Got into real estate right out of college, had no intentions of getting into real estate. My college landlord approached me and said, "Hey, I think you'd be good at this." Jumped right into it. With that athletics background, I'm super competitive. It just kind of, I don't know, it just like worked. Fell in love with real estate, started out in more property management, and then kind of found my way into the more leasing world, sales, that kind of fun stuff. So I got my real estate license, and after 3 years in property management, made the jump officially into sales, and went over to work with a company called JLL. That's where we kind of started working together, gym wise. And then from there, very recently, 2 months ago, I left JLL, and I'm now more focused on the residential side of real estate. Property management, back to my roots in the property management world, investing in real estate, and then real estate sales. So I'm on a team with 2 other agents and a full-time admin, and we help people buy and sell real estate. A lot of first-time home buyers, your mom and dad selling their house and downsizing, or, your grandmother passed away and you're selling her home, sellers of all different kinds. So now more focused on the residential side. So it's been a journey. I've kind of jumped around, but these last 2 months have been probably the craziest.
So I want to touch on pretty much a couple things from your life. And the first one I wanted to start with was your sports, your athletic career. MK, how tall are you?
5'10".
So I'm still taller than her. I'm 6 foot. So just
depends on what shoes I wear,
let
though.
that be known. She's not around. You're not allowed around me with tall heels.
I know. I get that a lot.
But yeah, I know Vince, her husband, and Kelly and I were honored to be at their wedding. It was a super cool wedding in Vince's dad's backyard, which was dope.
It's the best.
And so a cool wedding this year. And so in your sports career, how did that prepare you, do you feel, for business, like later on? Were there any like draws you took from that?
Yeah, I would say the discipline of like getting up every single day and going to practice is probably number one. I talked about this the other day, like, especially in the state of the world, like I never missed a practice, right? Like I never, ever, I would be full blown, have the flu, sick as a dog. And I would never in a million years miss a practice. Because if you miss a practice, somebody's right behind you, ready to take your spot. Right. So that's probably number one, is just like that discipline, showing up. I always got to practice 10 minutes early, stayed 10 minutes late, like having that discipline to really put in the work. And then from there, probably number two would be like being a teammate.
Right.
I was never like the star of any of the teams I was on. I was never, number one. I never scored the most points. I never, had the most assists or hits in volleyball. I mean, I had a game here or there that I would get lucky, but I was never the star of any of my teams. I was very much a role player. And I think that teammate mentality has definitely transitioned into the world I'm in now. I love working on a team. I've always really thrived in team situations when it's not just about me and it's about the greater good of everyone. So I would say those 2 top things have really translated into my career.
And I think that's very similar to me with the military. And you made a point that resonates, is that, I wasn't the star of the show ever, but I always worked hard and I always had a drive and a chip. I was always competitive. I always wanted to be the best at anything I did. and was always confused why I was not when I wasn't. So that drive is within me today. And I think we probably share that same drive. So that's cool to hear. And always, guys, when we're talking, is to try to connect you, the audience, and to bring value to you in some way. And so that you can start to make some connections to us. And even if you didn't do military or athletics, you can still have these traits in other aspects of life. Or maybe this can inspire you to start chasing things in life based on these traits. So discipline, hard work, competitiveness, in my opinion, is always going to pay off for everyone, no matter what field you're in. So from your athletic career, and then you're in the commercial real estate game. And so when I was looking for gym spaces, that was like in my head all the time. Like I always wanted the ideal space for my gym. It was always in my vision when I visualized where I wanted to be. I wanted a large gym. It's just always in my head that I wanted a large gym. And a lot of people say you don't need a large gym to be successful, but I just always visualized that. And I'm big on vision. And so I was constantly looking through windows all throughout Wilmington. I was always on LoopNet, which is a web browser or platform for commercial real estate. And through that process, I want to say, did I meet you from real estate, or did you join the gym
Technically,
first?
I met you through the gym. Yes, I joined the gym first.
Okay.
I joined the gym in August of 2017. I think we met at the gym a couple of times, and then I moved to JLL in December of that year. So we probably professionally met outside of the gym, like January, February of that year of 2018.
So MK would show up to the site, and it's like generally a commercial site. You never know what you're going to get, but she was always dressed up and she was always looking tall in her heels and everything, super professional.
Yep.
And I think that's a big part of her personality and something we spoke on later when we talked. So she's doing commercial real estate. And what were you feeling at the time that maybe something wasn't right, or you were getting pulled in another direction?
Right. I loved it. I definitely will say I loved doing what I was doing. I think I was really good at it, and I think I would have continued to be good at it if I stayed there. But there was just something in my gut that the job just like wasn't meeting. Like I wasn't achieving, like there was just something in me that I wasn't getting there. And I wasn't being fulfilled. Every day I would, have a good day here or there, but every day I was like, there's always more I can give. There's something better I could do with my time. And I just had this gut feeling that like, this was not my forever. This is not where I was meant to be. Again, I loved it. I was good at it. It's definitely a boys club, old boys club. A lot of guys that have, they're either balding or they have gray hair. And then there's me, like this, 5'10" redhead in her 20s showing up to meetings. So I loved that aspect of it. I had the chip on my shoulder. I wanted to prove everybody wrong. I'm going to be a female in this industry and make a name for myself. And again, I think I would have done it if I stayed there, but I don't think it was going to give me the fulfillment that I was looking for. So I started to kind of have this feeling probably earlier this year, really starting to feel it. At the same time, my husband's business really started taking off. He's been doing residential sales now for 5 years. He really started taking off. I'm watching his business really flourish. COVID was rough in the commercial real estate world. Not a lot of people renewing office spaces or taking long-term leases in that climate. So watching him help people find their long-term homes and first-time home buyers that maybe came to him to rent and they're now buying a house, like watching him really change people's lives, all the while I'm not being fulfilled in what I'm doing, every day. Watching him really, really be happy and successful. I wanted to get that feeling in my life again. So ultimately led me to where I am today. Yeah.
And that pull, that calling or that fire in your belly or something that's just not quite right. That's something we'll talk about a lot. That's something that's basically the mission of this project, this content project, the BlkOps podcast, was that I wanted to wake people up, and it's not like, come follow me. It's more like, well, yeah, it is actually, it was kind of to like create things in Delaware or wherever you're listening to create, and to start thinking differently, to start following maybe like a calling you have, or if there's an itch in your belly, if there's something that like doesn't feel quite right, that's your body talking to you, or your subconscious or your soul talking to you, that it wants to change and that it doesn't feel like it's reaching its true potential and purpose. And that takes time. Some people have that really clear answer to what that is, and some people don't. But if you don't explore it, and if you don't start changing your current or your environment, then it's never going to happen. You're never going to ever figure out what that is. And the worst thing that could happen is that you have regrets at the end, which I think MK and I have talked about before. Mm-hmm. And that's really what this comes down to. Like, no, you want to go to the grave without the regret, without that heavy regret. And it's easy to have regret in life. It's not like, it's a difficult journey, you know what I mean? But if we can start creating these conversations, if we can start sharing experiences with people, and others can start asking themselves questions and doing self-assessments on what their current state of affairs is, that, you know, maybe we can create some energy. And that's generally what not generally, that is what the project, the purpose of the project is. And so I'm glad you touched on that, because that's exactly what I wanted to stir up in people. And so that takes us to the moment that I wanted to share with you. And again, the theme of this is jumping before it's safe. This is something I tell a lot of people to do. And is there science behind this? I'm sure there's neuroscience behind this. But for me, it's based in faith. And so first I want to talk about what actually happened between us. And then we're going to talk about, you know, jumping before it's safe, and that what drove me to do it and what drove her to do it. And so MK, can you talk about that moment when,
Yeah. So I'm super blessed. I have a lot of mentors in my life. I have a ton of people I can go to for advice. But again, I said earlier in the year that this previous year, I kind of thought I was going to start. I was like, I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to make a jump. So my goal was to do it at the end of 2021. I was like, let's get through the end of the year. It'll be a clean break. January 1st, that'll be a logical time to start a new venture, you know, finish strong at JLL. But it was like I guess it was like August, when was that? August when I came to you? I think it was August, technically August, September. I don't know. But I came to you. Yeah. I woke up one day and I was like, I can't go to this office again. Like, I can't go, you know, sit behind a computer or make these calls or whatever I was doing. I can't do it. Like, I can't give it 2-3 more months, whatever it was. And I could have called any of my, you know, professional mentors, anybody. And for some reason, I really wanted to call you. I knew, I mean, I've seen you open this gym. I've seen you guys give your entire life to this, and really dedicate and dive all in. Like, you guys don't half-ass anything. So I wanted to call you, but I was like, you know what? Let's get out of bed. Like, let's just go to the gym. Let's just clear your mind. Like, you're probably going to get over this in an hour and, you know, go back to work tomorrow. But I walked into the gym. I came to the 11 o'clock class and you were here, and that doesn't typically happen.
No,
you're
random.
100 miles an hour. You're all over the place. So I never come at 11. You never here really during the day. So like, it was just like serendipitous. It was crazy. Like, definitely a God moment. That I walked in and you were here, and I was just like, holy moly. I literally, the first thing I said to you was, I was just about to call you. And you were like, what's wrong? Yeah. You assumed something was wrong. And I was like, no, like, it's all good. It's good. I needed someone that had made the jump, had given their all, had taken the risk, had believed in themselves. Like, I needed someone's advice that had done it, not someone that, you know, I typically would go to that has that 401k and has, you know, their bank accounts full, and this is how successful they are. I could have gone to any of those people, but I just needed somebody that was like, hey, A, like, you can do it, and B, like, I did it and I'm happy. And, you know, if anyone's going to do it, like, it's you. I needed that like little extra push. So we came here, we sat right up here, and we talked for like 15-20 minutes. And it was like, it was just that little push I needed, like that little extra, like, you can do it, you're not crazy moment. And yeah, I literally think a couple of days later, I officially quit my job.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, number one, smart woman, came to the right place. And yeah, I'm random with my schedule, you know, based on whatever I'm doing. And I came into the gym and she was sitting at the front bar, and she's like, yeah, I was actually just going to call you. That's super crazy. And I'm always like, well, everything happens for a reason. So nothing's crazy to me.
Right.
And this is the energy that I always try to, you know, share with people. So I was excited. And well, first I was like, wait a minute, is it good or bad? Because, you know, when a member wants to talk to me, even though they're my friends, it could be bad or good. And most people respect it. And MK did. And she's like, no, it's not bad. And I was like, come with me. So we came up here a little bit, you know, off screen where we're at shooting this podcast, and we sat down. And I didn't really know where she was going to take it or where she was coming from. But as she was talking, you know, number one, I was excited because I believe in MaryKate a lot. And so when someone comes to me and they have a big life decision that could be considered risky by society's standpoint, but I believe in that person, and I believe in everybody. Let's get that straight. I always see potential in everyone, but in MK, I see a lot in MK that, you know, kind of, it's similar to the way I'm driven. And you know, so I was excited. And she was talking about, you know, basically jumping over into the real estate business with her husband, Vince. And I had been watching from, you know, basically social media and seeing the success Vince was having. And, you know, at least from the outside looking in. And so there was potential there, of course, that things were going good. And I was like, okay, it looks like they're on the rise. And so whenever someone's on the rise, they're going to need help, because I already know that. It's all about your team. And so when MK was talking to me about it, I mean, there's nothing better for Vince, because Vince has a certain personality that it's similar to MK's in some ways, but I
Yeah.
think MK can bring a different slice to the pie. And you know, it's the same thing with Kelly and myself. You know, I'm kind of the rager and she's kind of the more sobering version, and that can kind of like balance me out. And MK has a certain style and Vince has a certain style, and I think they balance each other out well. And so right there, that was a good partnership in my opinion. And like I told her, I said, you know, you basically already had your decision made. And so I was just listening to her and letting her talk it all out. And also, just for you that are listening, when someone talks to you, even if you're like me and you interrupt them a lot, sometimes they just want to talk, and they don't want you to explain how it's exactly like something you had happen to you in high school. Sometimes they're in pain or they're scared and they just want to talk it out with you and have you agree with them. Just agree with them and go along with them, because you're healing them. You're giving them therapy. And so if you can take anything, because a lot of people I go to, it's like, that's not how they listen. But anyway, so, and I interrupt people a lot. So I was proud that I didn't do that then. And I haven't done it that much today, which is points for me. So yeah, she had already had the decision made, and yes, there was risk, and yes, there was fear, but it's all good risk and it's all good fear, because she had proven herself as a commercial real estate. She had shown up to those job sites impressive. She knew her stuff, you know, she was dialed in. So that's not just going to disappear when she goes into another venture. That's her work ethic. That's how she drives herself. And you know, hopefully I want to talk about work ethic before the show is over. So remind me if I forget.
Okay.
But yeah, so I knew she was going to be successful in whatever she did. And sometimes just telling someone that this is power right here. MK, you're going to be successful in anything you do in life. All right. So just take that forth and go, you know, crush it. But you know, I believe in her and I believe in what they could do together. Vince could do together with her. And it felt great. It felt right. And so I said, yeah, absolutely. You know, the decision's kind of already been made. I'm just listening to you. And it was that little kick in the butt for her. But one thing we both agreed on is that like, you don't get that from the world. You get, there's two things that happen when you talk to people about taking risks. And one of those things is people who love you don't want you to experience pain. So they will tell you to not take a risk, even though it's right for you, because they don't want you to experience pain. So that's number one. Number two is people will put their self-induced insecurities on you, because just because they can't achieve something and take that jump, they will tell you that you cannot. Sometimes that's totally innocent. Sometimes that's malicious in intent, but you just have to realize that those things are going on. So any of you who are out there thinking of doing something that's against the norm, or might be a little risky, or maybe a little crazy, or just doesn't make financial sense, it doesn't follow the numbers, you know, I mean, that's who we're talking to today. And so just know that that's what's out there. So when you go to people, it's very important what you put into your subconscious. And these are people that love you a lot. You know, these are people that you trust to be your mentor, but they're going to tell you to not do it. And you have to realize that that is coming from a place of love, but it also could be coming from a place of insecurity. And it also sometimes could be coming from a place of malicious intent, where they don't want you to succeed, or maybe they're just trying to hate on you a little bit. So just be advised on that and be aware of that. And so with MK, the problem is, and the reason we wanted to do this project is because we want to inspire more of you to live like this. We want to be supported by you guys. We want to take energy from you and give out energy as well to others. And we can't do it alone. So now MK, and that's why I got excited when she's talking to me, because now I know that MK is jumping into my world. And now it's an ally I can have to do something like today and share experiences with, fire up, because it's very difficult to give motivation out all the time and not receive it. It's very, very difficult. And the world of an entrepreneur is to be alone. And it's very important and great that she's going to have Vincent along with her. And then they're going to figure out as the years progress, how they're going to run their family based on a husband and wife partnership. Because with Kelly and I, we did that while we were having children, and while Kelly was still working, and we just tried to figure it out as we went. And so that's a little bit, we had some struggles in there and some pitfalls, and that stuff we can mentor MK and Vince on along the way and say, like, here's what we did wrong, and everything. So then MK and Vince, what they will do is they will bring up the next generation. You know what I mean? They're going to pass it on. And so, yeah, so I was just like, go forth and do your thing and go with Vince. And
I did it.
So how are things since you've made that jump?
It's been good. It's been fun. I do feel like I'm meeting my purpose now, which has been great. One of the reasons I couldn't do commercial anymore is it was very by the book. It was very like black and white, rule oriented. And now that I work for myself, it's a free for all, right? So like, I'm really big on social media and content and videos, and, you know, just putting myself out there. And now there's no one I have to ask for permission. Can I post this? Or is this okay? Is this the right branding? You know, it's all on me. So from that perspective, it's been like, I feel like a caged animal, just like being let free.
Loose, yeah.
So I feel amazing every day when I can post whatever I want and do whatever I want, make my own schedule, come to the gym when I want to, make my own, appointments. That's been incredible. It's been an adjustment. Now I have to work on the weekends, whereas before I was really free on the weekends. But the upside of that is Vincent and I are now on the same schedule. So before, he was all nights and weekends, I was all day, and we were just on different planets. But now we really are jived, and like, I know what his schedule is and vice versa. He's handling a showing, I'm handling a settlement. Like, we're kind of just like in this groove, which has been incredible. It's been really fun. And then day-to-day wise, we bought a building in Trolley, and we now have our own office space on the first floor, which has been like just getting up, like you probably walking into this door every day, like, holy moly, this is mine. I have that feeling like this is our space. This is like, we can be who we want to be. We can create the energy and the vibe that we want to have, as opposed to working for like a corporation or someone else's business. Like that day-to-day feeling of just walking in your own space is like, it's a godsend.
Yeah.
So I just, every day, like, I'm excited. I used to have like the Sunday scaries. Like, I know everybody kind of uses that phrase, but I used to have that like gut feeling at the end of the day on a Sunday and be like, oh, gotta hit the grind tomorrow morning. But now it's just like, that's gone. Like,
Yeah.
I work all the time when I want, I'm excited to go into the office. So it's
Beautiful.
been really fun.
Yeah. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the other side of, so that's beautiful and it's amazing and I'm super happy for her. And I'm going to share with you what it was like when I took the jump and made the jump. So for me, and it's funny you brought up, walking in your space, and it's surreal. And honestly, I don't get that, it is so surreal that it doesn't feel mine many of the times. And because of the struggles I went through, and it was super tough. Like, I jumped really before it was safe. And I started in Browntown with a 1,000 square foot facility. I was still working at an engineering firm, and it struggled, it struggled pretty bad for about a year and a half, and it was tough. And so you're going to face different experiences. Like right now, MK, you guys are crushing it and it's amazing. And so that's beautiful. And so please God, it continues to be that for her every day. But the good thing is, if it doesn't, she has someone who kind of had a little bit of a different experience. Like it didn't feel like that right away for me. And it was very challenging. And it to this day is very challenging because of just some of the elements. And so everyone's going to have a little bit of a different journey. And I don't want to be doom and gloom, but I just want to prepare you that there are many elements to what you're going to face in this world. And I also wanted to talk about, a couple things, but one good thing was that jumping before it's safe. So again, I don't know the neuroscience behind this, or like I said, I don't know the science, but I think there is neuroscience to this in that it gives you that confidence. And I hope I just rank out the wire there on the audio. That would suck. But it gives you the confidence, back against the wall. And I know MK and I have talked about that before, that you have no plan B, you have no option to fail. And some people say, how do you do it? And I say, well, it's amazing what you can do when you have no option to do anything else. Like, you will succeed when it's like your only option. It's like, you have no other option. You can either lay on the floor or you can work your way out of it.
Right.
And if you work your way out of it, I promise you, and you don't quit and give up, it's going to work. But one thing we talked about before, and we talked about safe, a quote unquote safe. What's safe? And MK, you had a great point on that. And you said, what is safe? Who's to tell what is safe?
Yeah. I don't think there's such thing as safety.
Or
like,
time,
I don't think there's like a safe time or like now here's the like green light, like you're good, like everything's good, all your bills are paid and everything's good. I mean, maybe you waltz into like, the lottery someday and that's a different situation, but for your average person, I don't think there's such thing as like some magical day that's going to present itself where you're going to have enough money in your bank account or, enough support or people. I don't think it exists. So,
and where you see this a lot, you see this with engagement, right?
Yeah.
It's not the right time to get married. It's not the right time to get engaged. I'm like, well, I hope you don't get hit by a truck tomorrow.
Right. No, it's so true. It's so true.
And I know that sounds rude or cliche or stupid, but I mean, I just believe that. It's like, you got to jump. And I think I was listening to Andy Frisello, who I just started listening to, but he's a bit much for me. But he made a good point on entrepreneurship. It was about entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship and what's the difference. And the entrepreneur, and just to let you know what basically that means, is the entrepreneur is the person who jumps off the cliff and they have to get the new clients. There is no one coming in. The entrepreneur is the person that works inside the business, that their job is to make the business excellent from inside the house. And of course that falls on the entrepreneur as well, but the entrepreneur has to be outside. He has to be bringing in new energy and new clients and new sales and stuff like that. The biggest fear when you jump into entrepreneurship is you're no longer getting a paycheck. You're now responsible for anything you get or nothing. And that's pretty challenging and difficult. But if you know that going in and you're built for that, I think that's a great head start to know that there's going to come struggle. Like it's basically, there's no manual for it and you're going to have to figure it out as you go. And so when struggle happens, don't freak out. It's just part of the journey.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think there is such a thing as safe. And I think that was great that you put it down like that. There's no perfect time. There's no perfect anything, because you have to start. Like I used to say this and it sounds so dumb that I didn't really tell other people this, but I remember when I was working for the engineering firm, these are all successful professionals. And I was like, I knew in my mind what I wanted. I wanted that big gym. I visualized a huge gym. I could run it. It would be excellent. It would be great customer service. It would have the best fitness product possible, great equipment. But I was like, if I don't start in the hood, I'm never going to get that. Like every day you don't start is a day longer it's going to take you to succeed. And
so true.
Yeah. I mean, really I feel like that's all it comes down to. Like, now there's definitely exceptions, right? Like there is a wrong time to make a crazy financial jump.
Right.
And if you're not built for that, if you don't have the life experience to get ready for what's going to happen to you when you do that, then that's the wrong time for you. So you have to be, I think self-awareness is super important. From my years in the Marine Corps, from getting my butt kicked, not physically, but mostly like the struggles I had been through, the honor that I've been hit on, the hate, all kinds of things I had gone through in life. And I'd never gotten that easy road. I was ready for it. I was like, whatever you do to me, it's not going to be worse than what I've accomplished before, been through. Mm-hmm. And it was more difficult when children especially came into the position, because in the military, I could just go berserker and go charge 50 enemies like a crazy man.
Right.
But now I have children to worry about. Right. And now I have a wife, and it's like, okay, I can't be that, I'm not that indestructible, right? I do have huge responsibilities.
Yeah.
So you have to just do a self-awareness on where your life's at.
And you can prepare for some of this ahead of time. Like I didn't just wake up one day. I didn't wake up that day and say, oh, let's just do this. Like jump. I was following Vince around for a whole year, like coming to his appointments, watching how he operated, taking notes, like, can I do this? Would I be good at this? I took over his Instagram here and there. I would take over his social media. We did like a drinks on Vince. I planned that whole event for him. Like I was like very much toe dipping into this for the last couple of years. So this didn't come out of left field. This isn't just like, totally out of nowhere. I was preparing for this for a long time. And it just ultimately was like, I had to cut the cord of having an excuse to not be in 100%. I had to cut that cord and like make that clean break in order to go all in on it. Cause before that I was just like toe dipping in. Oh, I'll come to the business. I'll help for a week and then I'll jump right back out. But I had to make that initial jump, but it didn't just come out of nowhere. So it was calculated. It wasn't like I just woke up on a whim and decided to quit my job. Like it was, I toe dipped into it. I made sure I liked it. This is what I want to do. And we're also big on the investments, like the investment side of things. So like we've purchased a couple properties. We did a renovation project together, just the two of us. So like we learned that like, HGTV, Chip and Joanna, flip or flop, like that is all bullshit. Like that is like, it's not like that in real life. It's not a 1 hour TV show. It's a 9-month process and bickering until 3 a.m. because the drywall guy didn't show up. Right. So we toe dipped into it so that when I made the decision, it wasn't out of left field. Like I was ready to go.
Yeah. And there's a couple things there, that I strongly believe in that she said is, ripping the Band-Aid off, because then you just have to figure it out. And I think most people underestimate what they're capable of. I remember there was a time we were doing the Crucible with all our recruits, and it's crazy, 3 to 4 days and you're all around, and you finish it on a 10-mile hike. And I was going through a really bad sickness. I was a drill instructor. And like, it was like a sinus infection times a million, and I wasn't sleeping anyway. And I was like laying on a dirty carpet for like 30 minutes and then doing another 24-hour day or whatever. Not like lawyers tell you that they work for 24 hours. I'm talking about real work for 24 hours. Like I've worked for 24 hours, and I can tell you fall asleep wherever you go. So you're combat ineffective unless you're in combat and your adrenaline's way high, which I didn't experience. But for lawyers, I don't think they're that, unless they're putting outside influences in their mind. But that always pissed me off. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But anyway, I pushed my body to its limit, and it locked up physically, and I was no longer able to move. And that's just part of like pushing yourself to the limit. And there was another time I was taking my platoon up like a really tall, steep thing, and I was like, my body was shot. but I just kept moving. And I was like, see, this is it just gave me clarity as to like what you're capable of physically, mentally. If you're not comfortable at the farthest limit, like you can keep going. Your body's amazing and your potential is amazing. And so many people, I think, underestimate what they're capable of, and because they've never been through a really harsh, rigorous challenge. And so that's something to think about too. If you have low self-worth, or maybe you're just comfortable, or maybe you're just too cocky, you need to be humbled. Because if you want to get into, especially the world of entrepreneurship, you have to be prepared to struggle, and you have to be prepared to be humbled. So ripping the Band-Aid off, I always said, I made a lot of financial decisions with my business before it was time, before it was safe. And then it just worked. It was super difficult. And there was like times where I was missing bills and all kinds of stuff. And stress was times a billion. But now we're at our dream location now. And all those little pieces, are part of the puzzle to get you to that vision you have in your head. And if someone said it's audacious to live like this, and it is. And if you want to live like no one else gets to live, in my opinion, it's going to take you 10 years. And Kelly and I are only in 7. There was much, like you said, there was reps in the game before that to even get me the knowledge base to jump into this arena. But we're just approaching 7. And, 7, someone told me that's when you get divorced, or, which is in our anniversary as well. So we didn't get divorced. And the business got super challenging because of just transitions that I went from coach to owner that were very difficult for me, because I'm a coach at heart. It was a scary place and a dark place, but the gym continues. And so that world we visualized when we started, we're not there yet, right? But we wanted some comfort. We want some type of comfort financially and breathing room eventually. But the way we push it, it always works out, taking on team members before we're financially able to take them on, and then just like paying them before us. And then your wife screams at you and you figure it out. You know what I mean?
You gotta pay
the
mortgage and the health insurance and the, it's scary.
Yeah. And so
we don't have 401ks now. Like
there's no such thing as that. The 401ks, like even having one,
no retirement plans.
It's a bad idea to have one, because then it's like, you're tired. I just work till I die.
Right.
But you can putter around, you know what I mean? If that's your goal,
figure it out.
So you'll figure it out. But so yeah, ripping the Band-Aid off. And then there was one other thing, and I'm going to freaking forget what it was, but it's kind of tied into what we just talked about with that.
We also started kind of inching on like sacrifice. Like we've talked about sacrifice a lot.
Absolutely. And I think when I talked to you before, you made a really good point. This just can give you some real life kind of, discipline that MK is instilling as she made this jump. Yeah.
So like it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Like while I'm happier now and every day is great, I love going to my office. Like we are definitely in a very different financial situation right now. We've taken on a new office. So we have a new rent payment. We are in the current process of renovating a home. So when you're in the middle of those renovations, you're just like gushing cash. Like just everybody wants cash from you. So we're in like a, hold your breath kind of moment right now, while we kind of sort through the new properties, the current renovation, and then, deals that we have under contract with our clients. So while I'm happier and every day I feel like I'm meeting my purpose, we do have like our hold our breath moments that we're kind of in right now. So I'm still, very like cognizant of that. But the way we kind of have combated it, and the reason we're able to do it, is because we're very big on sacrifice. Like Vince and I live in an 825 square foot house. Like we're not in some mansion. We don't have a brand new kitchen. The properties we have all have brand new kitchens and brand new washer dryers and beautiful, hardwood floors and laminate or beautiful countertops. Like we've got the laminate countertop. We've got a fruit backsplash circa 1990 in our current house. Like we make a ton of sacrifices so that we can, afford this type of lifestyle, or this investment lifestyle, and this journey and this entrepreneurship way. So like, we drive Hondas, and I've clothes from, I'm still wearing the same clothes from college half the time. Like we make a ton of sacrifices to give us this ability to take this type of risk. So
yeah, and that's so important to realize, like, because social media especially, or just celebrities in society, show you just the best side. And there's also a play to, we're going to talk about social media, but like, it is cool to be entertaining on social media and show cool things and cool moments. But, you see real life there, you might say, oh, especially with the real estate industry, a lot of it is big money, right? Or they're talking about how many big sales they had and stuff like that. And so from the outside looking in, you might be like, screw them, blah, 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 blah. They had it easy, they're living the plush life. There's gym equipment that I never even used, that I bought, that was brand new for our members, that like I didn't even use.
Right.
And I love gym equipment. I love working out. And it's, some people think like, oh, you have it so easy working in a gym or something like that. You're going to sacrifice. Like, it's not about you. And you're going to, or gym looks 10 times better than my house looks, because we put all our energy into the gym. We're cleaning it on Sundays, and then you're wiped out. You're wiped out when you get home, and it's difficult to have that same attention to detail at home as well. And so we want to show you with, exactly what MK just taught you, is that, the real story, what's behind the lens and everything like that, or the curtain, excuse me. And
it's not all cocktail parties.
No, not at all.
Range Rovers and no way. Rolex watches.
But if that's the goal,
right,
what I mean? Keep rolling and keep rocking. Don't do that early, because if you do that early, you're going to be financially screwed.
Correct.
But you can work towards living that lifestyle if that's what you want. But there's so many real life examples of people that have money. And if you haven't come across this in life, I promise you this, from at least my experiences, I know a lot of top dogs from other people's, close to me. They work with big people in industries and in high market, industries and high money industries. And money does not equal happiness. It does equal some freedoms and comfort. But there's a lot of sadness based around very wealthy people, and that's not cliche, people. That's the total truth. So doing the journey the right way and taking care of your mindset and your purpose, and making sure you're doing things correctly, morally, is so important, because then and if you don't skip steps, that's another thing, like skipping steps. Like I've seen people skip steps, especially in the gym business, and it hurt. Like when I was early on in the game, and I would see someone open this beautiful big gym right from the door because they had an investor, they would leave a gym with other people's members and start a new gym. And I was just like, because I'm like struggling, but to me, that's skipping steps. And so I've never skipped steps. And so I know at the end of my 10-year journey that it's all been earned. And that's not saying they didn't earn it. It's just, I'm going to have a very strong foundation and structure to base my next decision on. And that's kind of the journey I'm in. And that's what I would recommend for all of you. I mentioned work ethic earlier, and I was just driving in the car and thinking about this. And I was like, I just wish people freaking worked harder.
Yeah.
Like, do your damn job and make sure you do it right. And that's where the pride comes in. Like, do the damn job, like, I don't care what you do. Like I'm impressed when I go to a Dunkin' Donuts, which I never do. And I was like, why are you going to say that? But there's someone there that's shit hot, and they're running that thing.
Yeah, they crush it. You ever go to a Chick-fil-A? Those people kill it.
Exactly. Like, and so forget the top dog lawyers and all this other crap. Like, no matter what your job is, do it to the best of your ability, be proud of it. And I promise you'll be successful in life. You're going to go up the chain, because no one else is going to do that.
Yeah. And Vince and I are really big on like, have fun along the way. Like, obviously it's not always glitz and glamour. Sometimes we get an invoice that we were not expecting. And like,
I know them.
And you're
don't
just like,
keep it out, hide it. Cause it's just gonna be negative headspace.
But like, you just gotta try to have fun along the way. And I'm not saying like, go blow all your money on a vacation, but like him and I will just like laugh. Like we'll put some music on. We're having a bad day. Like put some music on the office, like on in the office, and just like dance it out, like ever, like try to have some fun along the way. Cause we're going to blink and be 60 and have, 20 grandchildren, and it's just gonna be gone. And we're going to be like, wow, remember when we were 29 and we had $0 to our name and we were eating ramen, and like, that was more fun, than being 60 and old. Right. Yeah. So like, we're trying to just like have fun along the way. And similar to your point with you and Kelly, like we are yin and yang. So usually when I'm the one that's like super, super tense, he's like, this is great, we're having fun. And then we'll flip flop. So we do have that yin and yang, which is nice, but overall we just try to have fun along the way. We're young, we're doing the damn thing. Like what is there to be sad about? You know?
Absolutely. And that's gratitude. And that's a great way to look at life. And she's in a very good headspace, and that's so important, having fun and enjoying the journey, because the journey will be tough, but you can always, in the Marine Corps, we laugh when we're miserable. You know what I mean? Like we all just start laughing when you're just like, shit, it sucks. And so you're all going through it together.
You're together, right? You're together.
That's why the military is so tight in teams, because you suffer together, you bleed together. And, I always say, if you don't bleed with me, you're not eating with me. You know what I mean? And I've had that problem. True. I've given people that I've given them way too much respect and value early, just because I always try to boost someone up and stuff like that. But I mean, that's a good quote to live by, because it's totally true. Like you got to put your reps in the game. You gotta suffer along the way, and then you can't quit. And part of not quitting is to find ways to make it fun, like MK said.
Yep.
So now I want to shoot over to marketing in 2022 and kind of explain the Garman Group and what is going on in locally. Not everyone on this show is going to be locally, but hopefully we're bringing you some value in some way that you can kind of stay connected with us over here in Wilmington, Delaware, one of the hottest places in the country. No, we're just that's our job, is to make that happen. And I want to give a shout out too, though, to Avenue North. So this is our third gym location. This is a 6,000 square foot location given to us by Deladon Associates. Deladon Associates was using JLL real estate, commercial
Mhm.
real estate. They showed us, MK showed me this site, 3 years ago or 4 years ago before this ever came to reality. It was a different location on site. There was a current gym that a corporation was using, and they wanted to see if we could run it. And of course, at that moment, I was running my location in Trolley Square, which we're going to talk about, my second location. And it was a great opportunity, but it didn't turn out. But then years later, they brought me back to the site and they showed us our new location. And this site is about to be, what's the word for it? Redeveloped with commercial businesses as well as apartments.
Residential, yeah.
Residential. So high-rise apartments. And
Hotel.
so, yeah, we're the advanced party before that. We're here to make the site hot. And so when all
It's
these people
hot.
come in, we're the TV channel.
Yeah.
But so shout out to Deladons and JLL as well.
Yeah.
You guys all played a part in where we're at today.
Yeah.
So now we are about 5 minutes from Trolley Square, and MK is going to tell you exactly what Trolley Square is. But it's basically it is or was the happening spot in Delaware for coming out of college and bar scene and stuff like that.
Yep.
And it's where MK and Vince have put their headquarters out of the Garman Group. And I've actually lived in Trolley Square for, I think, 3 years when I got out of the military. After spending a year out in 4 years out in California, came home and then got a little townhome in Trolley right in the heart of on Clayton Street. So why don't you explain what's going on down in Trolley Square with the Garman Group, and particularly this new project that MK, I believe, created, which is social media driven and is definitely portrays her entrepreneurial spirit. So
yeah. So I live in Trolley. We bought our house right when I joined BlkOps, so I guess like 2017, so like 4 or 5 years ago. And like I said, 825 square foot house, super cute, super quaint, 2-bedroom home. It's adorable. I would live there my whole life if I could.
Can you explain too, sorry to jump in. Can you, so people that aren't aware of Trolley, what is Trolley like? What is
it? Basically it's like a little cute little town in the city of Wilmington. It does have the reputation of being where you either go or live right after college. So like that 22 to 25-year-olds, they're probably spending their nights and weekends in Trolley, whether it's day drinking or going out at night or dinner or date nights, all that kind of fun stuff. So a lot of the surrounding area is rentals or young couples. The bulk of it is actually most of the homeowners in the area are more like empty nesters. But it has the reputation of being like that bar scene right out of college. So, if you're from Delaware and you come home for Thanksgiving on Christmas break or Christmas break or Thanksgiving break, you're going to go out and Trolley with all your high school friends. And it has that reputation of being like, that hometown bar. But at the same time, it very much is like a very quaint, cute community with a ton of local businesses, mom and pop shops, really, really cool people, all kinds of people, in that little neighborhood, and super passionate about the neighborhood. I think there's a ton of investment into the city of Wilmington as a whole. There's a lot of different groups and organizations that focus their energy and efforts on the entire city. But I've never really seen anyone focus specifically on Trolley. So one of the reasons I made the jump into the Garman Group is I wanted to start a community page called Trolley Trends, in which we were really just like supporting and encouraging home ownership in Trolley, local businesses in Trolley, and just like Trolley is more than just like your hometown bar when you come home from college. Like it has a community. It has really great roots and people. So I started Trolley Trends. It was initially really pushed by like COVID, seeing some of these businesses really struggle. The big restaurants that everyone knows of, they're doing takeout business. They're doing, they're still getting support, but it's really like the smaller mom and pop shops that I think were really struggling. We've had friends reach out to us. Hey, I'm home from Christmas break. Where do I get a bagel in Trolley? Where do I get a quick lunch? And I kind of just had the idea of like, someone needs to be like shouting these businesses out, giving them social media content. A lot of them don't even have social media pages. So I started this page to really push Trolley as like a very specific niche neighborhood. It's kind of my baby, trolley.trends on Instagram. It's still in its infancy stages. We just hit 600 followers. So really excited about that. But ultimately it's just a page that you can learn more about the neighborhood, more about the local businesses and the people that live there. So we're trying to highlight what type of people live here, just to give you a feel that like, hey, this is a lot more than just like your neighborhood bar when you're here for 2-3 nights in Christmas break.
Yeah, and I just think it's a great idea, a great move on her part. And one thing I shared with her before is having a content, especially as a business owner, or maybe you're whatever it is you are. I think most of you could benefit from using social media as a positive tool versus the negative tool. And what we see when we look at social media generally is that it's just about, look how good I look how great I am, look how awesome, blah, blah, blah. And most people leave a page with negative influencing rather than positive influencing. And so there's an opportunity to use it as a tool for good and to tell real stories and to showcase real people and to do it thinking of other people first and bringing value to other people. I think that's it's a great move for most of us. And like I said, the world's going to need it because most of the messaging we're getting is negative, and it's time to start putting some good out there. So showcasing businesses, showing what they went through, telling their story, I think is exceptional on your part. And I would encourage you to do that more and more because businesses were crushed by COVID.
Yeah.
And forget business. People think, well, they're making money, blah, blah, blah. Like you're looking at people that put everything they have into doing something that with no assurance, no guarantee, and they just got smashed. And then not only they get smashed by the government, they were getting smashed by their customers. They were getting smashed on the internet. And that was very challenging. So showcasing businesses now in 2022. And of course, the climate out there is still dangerous in a sense that people are still scared. But showcasing these businesses, giving them a little bit of love and a little bit of help encourages them to stay in the game. And it's a lot of people always use this reference, like say you have this cookie store you love and it makes the best cookie you've ever had. And then one day you realize it goes out of business. You're like, oh my gosh, they had the best cookies I've ever had. Why did they go out of business? And I'm like, well, what did you do for that business ever besides going there once in a while? And it's like, if it's nothing, that's why they went out of business. You know what I mean? Like they're not indestructible. They're not invincible. And something as a Google review goes a long way. Yeah. A true Google review goes a long way. And if you're ever one of those people that put a bad review on something, maybe you need to think about the people you're reviewing and look at like, really, are they deserving of something like that? And don't even get me started on Yelp. So that'll give you some realness on Yelp. So Yelp, as far as I'm seeing, and I hope I get like caught up in their matrix and they come at me. Yelp is ridiculous. And so all they're about is ads. So they hit us up all the time and the salesman lied to us, and they're always from a New York number. So shout out New York. And they try to lie to us about like how much leads we're going to get and all this bullshit. And it's all BS. And now I know they're death in the restaurant industry, but I don't live or die by Yelp. You know what I mean? So I kind of saw them as fraudulent from the very beginning. And I did pay them for some ad money and they gave me squat. And then they call back with some other wet behind the ears person in New York that was going to tell me about business. And then what they did is we got good reviews and they removed them because of whatever reason. So, that's what's out there. That's kind of what businesses go against. It's not easy to get good reviews. It's not easy to market. It's because there's no manual to any of this. You're just figuring it out as you go. There's no corporations and there's no board meetings and there's no, any of that. It's just you trying to figure it out on your own. And so if you can ever put yourself in a position as an individual who
put them on your Instagram story, put up your cookies or whatever it is, just a simple Instagram post. Oh my gosh, it takes you 30 seconds. Like
it goes such
a far way, such a long way.
Yeah. And so Trolley Trends, number one, follow it, guys, give her a little love and support. And I just think it's really cool what you're doing. And what I was going to say too is like when you're having bad days in business, creating a piece of content will actually motivate you. It makes you happy because maybe the piece of content, people like it and maybe they give it a little love and support. And that just goes back to you as you getting a little love and support. So maybe you're missing some invoices and you're behind the bills or whatever's going on and you're stressed the hell out. You have this other venture that you can put some positive energy into and make it look good and make it look pretty and make it look like that things are good, because that will come back on you. And it's worked for me. I've always tried to showcase like all the work I do at the gym, just to show people what it takes to get to the top, so that one day, if I ever do, they understand I got there the right way. And then also it motivated me when I was having rough weeks, just having a piece of content that turned out good as a creator, or maybe I figured out how to put a song on it that I liked. And, to me, that was creation. And it was the whole reason I got in this game in the first place, was to do something individual. So for you to do that at the infancy of your start, I think is pretty cool. But I don't think it's very strategic in a good way, because you're doing it for the right reasons. And I think it's going to help you guys with the Garman Group in Trolley.
I agree. I totally agree.
So what's Vince? What is Vince's thoughts on, the next year or 2 years. What's next for you guys? Or what are your thoughts on the next year or 2 years?
We want to grow the team for sure. So we have another agent, Cole Cyber. He used to work out here with us. That's actually, I mean, I've known Cole, I think probably his whole life, but we've reconnected through working out at the gym. So Cole's been amazing. He's young and hungry, and I think we see a lot of ourselves in Cole. While we're still young, he's even younger than us. So I think we see a lot of ourselves in him, Vince especially. So we have him. We have a full-time admin, Catherine. And I think we're looking to grow the team, definitely very strategically. We're not looking to just bring in, every agent left and right. But we're definitely looking to grow the team. We have this beautiful office space now. It's just really the three, max four of us. So looking to grow the team very strategically. Looking to grow our social media presence for sure. More content, more pictures, and a lot more video. I'm really thinking video is ultimately the number one type of, content people are looking for. So one of our goals for 2022 is to grow our video content, whether that be a TikTok, whether it be Instagram Reels. And then ultimately we do want to get into the podcast game. And now that I'm on these fancy mics, I'm like, I can't wait to buy these as soon as I get home.
Yep. So, and that's always like that catalyst, energy begets energy, which I always say. And we talked to MK, and I was like, yep. So now you got to create a podcast.
I have to.
Yep.
I love this too much.
And she's entertaining, and so is Vince. And so that's something big.
Sometimes.
I feel like there's a lack in the game out there. Is like people get on social media and they just post every day and everything. And I don't really see entertainment there,
Right.
And I've been in a lull for a little while with my content, but
Yeah,
I wanted to talk about something that you see in the entrepreneurial world, or you're just seeing betterment in business and everything. And some of you may have come across this or not, but it's Simon Sinek wrote a book called Start With Why. And so when I was in Browntown, I had one of my members, Ralph Marshall, local, lives a little bit outside of Trolley, lives in the Highlands neighborhood. And he is a father, and he was like, I'm working with this business coach. He was a pilot, but he was getting into some other ventures, entrepreneurship based. And he said, I'm going to this venue, and it's a meeting with my entrepreneur coach. Would you be interested in doing it? I think you could benefit from it. And first I'm just like, no, like, I don't want to go anywhere, but I was like, yeah, I'll go. And when I went to that meeting, this guy was what was considered a why coach. A why coach it's basically you finding out at your root, what is your core value that drives you. And it's a big thing. Like, it's like this big, what is your why? And you're just like, it's a lot of pressure to figure it out. And there was a couple cool takeaways from that moment. The number one was that I said yes, and I went, just like MK did today. When I asked her if she wanted to be on this podcast, she said yes. And so that's going to create new energy for her in the future, because now she has this piece of content and this responsibility that I always joke with her about. Like, now you got to go forth and create. But this whole idea of why. And so when it comes down to business or you individually, and when people get burnt out in life, I think it's because they lost the reason why they started something in the first place, or what drove them as they were growing up. And so it can be hard and a lot of pressure to figure out what your why is, but there's an easier way to do this. And so what I found out to be, because I was trying to figure it out, and it was like, you can't figure it out unless you pay the coach. And I was like, well, I'm not going to pay a whole bunch of money just to figure out something that's already inside me.
Right.
Sometimes I do that though. Sometimes there is some value to that. But what I was thinking in my head is like, when I drive by and I see suffering, it bothers me. And when I see something that I don't believe is right, it bothers me. And really what that comes down to is problem solving, or care and service. And, service, I think, at the base of it, but also what he broke it down for me later on was that it was trust. And it is true. Like, if someone breaks my trust, it breaks my heart. And if someone doesn't trust me, it breaks my heart. And it's happened in the fitness industry, and COVID was the biggest one, when, the membership base, whether they knew it or not, they hurt me and my family a lot, with the way they handled the whole entire situation. But they supported us at the same time. Many of them, and most of them, supported us through and got us through it. But there was a lot of pain through that process of people, talking about regulations and all these things, and how we weren't doing it the right way, or the way they thought it should be, or who knows what. But that was very personal, and it hurt me pretty bad. And, to this day, I'm still recovering from that. But, trust was at my base. And so what I wanted to do with MaryKate was talk about, without putting the pressure on her, what's her why as she goes into Compass. What is different between the way you're going to do this business compared to the outside perspective of what people think of real estate agents, which is posting millions and millions of dollars of sold real estate on Instagram. And dude, most of that time I'm like, good for you, man. I'm great. It's great. You're succeeding. And you do feel that. But at some point that can kind of become a pissing match, you know what I mean? And I think real estate agents could benefit from going at it at a different angle. And so I wanted to talk about what is Compass, or excuse me, the Garman Group to start? Because it starts with you and Vince. What is your drive? Why houses?
Yeah, it's going to sound pretty cheesy. I think real estate,
there's no such thing.
I think real estate as a profession is kind of cheesy. So, so like when we sat down to do our goals for this year, we're very like transaction focused, less, like value focused. So a lot of people say like, oh, I want to do 18 million in sales, 20 million in sales, whatever that number is. We're really big on, we want to help X amount of families. So last year our team, helped 55 families, whether they were selling their home or buying a home. And then, another scattered, maybe 15 rentals in there as well. So, this year our goal is 72 families. So we have Post-it notes on the wall for every, house we want to sell, and ultimately families we want to help. So that means we're going to sell houses that are $100,000, and hopefully we sell houses that are $1 million, but we're not too good for anyone. We don't turn down any leads. We don't, oh, you're only approved up to 200,000. Like, I'm going to go focus on these guys. Like, there's none of that with us. Cole, when I left, was literally talking to a lady that is approved, I think up to like 175. She wants to buy in the city of Wilmington. It's her first home. She's currently in a motel. We want to help those people. Like, and she said, oh, you're the 5th real estate agent I've talked to. So many people won't call me back. And Cole's going to call her back. Cole is going to call her back every single day until he finds her a house. And we are going to celebrate that sale just as much as we're going to celebrate the house in Springfield we're selling right now for $500,000. Like, we are going to celebrate that just as hard, and we're going to be just as excited, because to us, like, that deal is just as important as the, high dollar sales. So we're really big on families helped. We said it in our Christmas card, like Vince put it in our Christmas newsletter, like, home is all about, the holidays are all about being warm and like safe in your home and being surrounded by love and family. Like, if I had anything to do with your home sale, whether you're, an empty nester and you've moved on and you're now in a condo in Florida, or whether you're, 25 years old and you bought your first house this year, like, I hope that your home is like fulfilling, and I hope that you feel safe and happy and confident and, proud of where you are. And like, we really stand by that. So we don't count this up by how many millions of dollars of sales or how many, what that price point is. Like, we genuinely like want to help people find their home.
So that's just amazing, moral compass, you know what I mean? To drive them, and they're fall with under compass, real estate. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so special. And the more they show that message to the world and that it's genuine, and people start to see that it's genuine, they build a know, like, and trust factor, or know, like, and love. No love and love, I don't know, but it's important, and customer service is dead. And so no matter what industry you're in, you could be doing better at customer service. You could be more empathetic to your clients and your customers. And there's a price to that. Sometimes you can get too emotionally attached, especially in like our business. It's so personable that, you take on a lot of pain, every day. And so that can be, you got to be careful with that, because that can overwhelm you. But when you lose passion for what you do, it's important to come back to this initial, core value statement. And so to go even deeper into, I'm not gonna let MK get off that easy. We're gonna go a little deeper into this.
Yeah.
But it's so important that she remembers why she got into this game, and what they, as a company, as a group, what drives them, and that when the success occurs, there's like, what's that country song? I don't listen to country, but it's like, be humble and kind or something.
Yeah.
And it was like, when you get to the top, remember, what it took to get there, or what matters is to be nice. And that's so true. What matters is that you treat everyone with respect, and everyone has humanity. And whether someone might not be able to afford your service, what we do here is we meet everyone for a meet and greet for free, of course. And we just talk to them. And there's so many people we know are not going to be either financially able to join our gym, or just are not the type of person that would succeed at our gym for themselves. And we just tell them that, you know what I mean? Like, we listen to them, we talk to them about their goals, we give them other options and say, here's other gyms in the area that could work for you. And if you still are down to try us, I will make it worth your while. If you pick up a second job for your health and benefit or wellness, it's important, and I can tell you right now, for those of you who aren't working out, you can level yourself up by working out. You can build a lot of good things for yourself and success for yourself by just getting getting active and getting that body active and getting some,
mental health. I
yeah.
stand by I was like quarantined to like quote COVID. I never understood what depression was. Like people would say, oh, depressed. I'm like, what does that mean? Like I've been sad. I empathize with it, but I never experienced it. And then COVID taking the gym away was like awful. Like my mental health plummeted during COVID. So like, if anything, let's take your physical health out of it. Your mental health will just exceed.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
just that stress relief. You can't get that stress relief anywhere else. Yeah.
No. And it's the only time you're not staring at your phone. You're not looking at social media. You don't have a screen in front of you. It's the only time you're actually genuinely looking people in the eye and speaking to them.
And there's another funny thing. Like if you think about every time you've done a high intensity workout, were you depressed while doing it?
Never.
You can't be. You can't be overwhelmed and scared.
And miserable.
You're scared and miserable, but you're not depressed.
No.
You're not depressed. You're not.
No.
You're just like, you're scared and miserable. And you're like, oh shoot.
But I've been depressed laying on the couch eating a bag of chips.
Absolutely. Right. The counter workout. So now I want to talk a little bit about, and that's so important what you said about mental health. It's so, there's so many people out there suffering right now in so many different ways. And so that's another thing, is to create a piece of content that we can help them in any fashion. Like
positivity.
Yeah. And I always go with her. She's like positivity. And I was like, no, it's focused. So I'm always going to tell you that it's hard and it's a struggle, so that, number one, you have a choice. You have a choice of how you handle the things you face. And I've really was wired to kind of be negative oriented, even though I come off as a pessimist, an optimist many times, but my wiring is to be like very real, and it comes off in a negative way to a degree when you ask me. With that. Yeah. But there's people that are totally different, and it's like, oh, well, they're just happier than me. And I think it goes a little bit both ways. I think generally they're wired a little different than you, but I think they're correct in that you can choose how you handle every single thing. And so that's a big thing I'm working on as I approach 40, is to like, I always handle adversity with I react to it and I handle it.
Right.
But I could be handling things with a lot more positive mindset internally for myself. I think it would benefit me a lot, but I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole because I'll forget what I'm talking about.
It's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, a whole new podcast. So finally, I just want to talk about MK and her inner drive and her core value. What is it that drives her? What is it that's driven your life, MK, from your personal values? What drives you?
I would say ultimately my future family, and providing, a great, happy, healthy lifestyle for my children and my future, generations to come. I am super blessed. I have a great family and have great morals and come from a really great place. I want to just, multiply that even further. I want to be able to, give my kids the things I didn't have, as a kid, new shoes all the time, and, the best of the best equipment at sports practices. And my parents worked really, really hard to give me everything I have. I'm so, so grateful. But I do ultimately, I want to provide, the best life possible for my kids and generations to come. I want the beach house. I want a vacation, all over the place. And I want to have all those things, but ultimately I just want to be able to pass that down to my future children and build that like generational, family and wealth and really, push that for generations to come.
Wow. And I just want to applaud MK for her personality. So if those of you that don't know her, she's just a fun person. She's very energetic. Whether she's happy or not, she appears to come off happy most of the time. And when she's kind of like flatlined, it's generally in a humor. She has humor about it, the way she does it.
Yeah.
And I think everyone could say, and it must be the redhead thing, that she brightens them up. You know what I mean? Yeah. She brightens them up, brightens up their day. And she has positive aura that comes from her and energy around her. And I'm honored to know you and thankful for your friendship. So yeah, I'm excited to be here with you along the journey and to help you and Vince as you learn about, going forward, husband and wife, and what comes with that. And especially with being business owners that are husbands and wives. And I just wanted to talk about another aspect for the fun, to close this show out, is that, you got to have faith, people. You have to have hope, and you have to have belief that things are going to be better and that you can have a part in those things becoming better. And for me, everything is faith-based and everything. I just had this big lesson this weekend, and we lost something super valuable, and it was like a really crazy moment. And it was every opportunity to say I'm cursed, or to blame someone, the person who lost the thing, right, or to blame God, and I just said, and it was very it would have been something that would have been a big hit to me financially for a long time. And so, but I just chose to handle it a different way. And it doubled me down on my faith. And we actually found it, is the moral of the story.
Yeah.
And I responded to it in a good way. And I just started reading the Bible at night, and I'm just learning more about my faith and how much power faith has. And there's a line in it that from JC, and he's like, if you just believed, you could move that mountain. And I promise you, everyone out there, if you believe in yourself and you have faith in goodness and in the light, you can achieve great things. And don't let anyone tell you differently based on what you look like or where you grew up or how much money you have. And always rule out that other people have it easier, because that's Loserville. Don't listen to people that tell you that. And don't listen to people that tell you that others aren't kind and any of that bullshit, and believe in yourself and believe you have you're the power to move mountains, because you do.
Yeah.
And, that's something I'm always going to be preaching to you guys, to anyone that listens to this show. And I dare you to try it out. I dare you to try it out and see what happens.
Like they say, when you're on a plane, like you got to take the mask and put on yourself first before you can help others. Like you have to believe in yourself in order to have anyone believe in you, whether you're selling your gym or real estate or whatever it is. Like you have to believe that you're the best at this, that you're, the people are in the best hands possible. If you don't believe it yourself, no shot in hell anyone else is going to believe it. It starts number one with yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and like genuinely believe it, and it'll come. And
that's self-awareness, and self-awareness, if you don't have it yet, putting adversity in your life and doing challenging things will build that. It'll build out self-awareness. You're always going to have doubt. So don't stress yourself out. Don't beat yourself down if you doubt, because you're most likely for where I come from, I always had doubt. And so my whole journey was driving against that chip, against being a loser, or against being someone who didn't make it, didn't get to go to college, and, got kicked out of this and got kicked out of that, which comes down the road, other podcasts. A lot of, struggles, laying on floors, some jail time, a little bit, just night, but we'll talk about that on future podcasts, in Mexico and in another place. And just like, always having a chip and drive to be like, I'm not a loser. I'm going to make it. I'm going to figure this out, and always keep driving, always keep working hard, and the success will come.
If you think 100%. Negative thoughts, just put a time limit on it. That's what I try to do. All right, I'm going to feel bad for myself for like 5 minutes, and then I'm going to be done. Like put a time limit on it, because we're all human. Yeah. We all have those moments, but like look at the clock and say, all right, I'm going to have 5 minutes of misery, and then move on. Like you're done. You don't have time for it.
Start walking forward one step at a time. So guys, so believe in yourself, work hard, be accountable, have pride in your work, take chances, take risks while you're alive, because, safety is perceived, safe is perceived, and we're never promised tomorrow. Again, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this or took any value from this, please help spread our movement, share our page or what we're doing over here. I would really appreciate it, because once I cut off from BlkOps Fitness, it was like starting from scratch, and I'm like, there goes all my followers. So whatever, it's all good. And now I want to just throw out where you can find more about MK.
Yeah, my personal Instagram is MaryKate Garm, Garm. And then Trolley Trends is trolley.trends on Instagram. And we're looking to really step up our TikTok game. So you'll start to see that this year a little bit more.
And maybe they can teach me how to do TikTok, because I don't understand.
It's easy. If you can figure out a podcast, you can figure out TikTok.
I don't know. It's a little daunting when I get on there. I'm like, oh Lord, I got to start again. All right, guys. But thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, whichever platform you watched it on. As always, the BlkOps podcast, episode 2 is in the books. I hope the audio sounded good today. I could definitely tell that MK's mic was perfect, and mine sounds not as perfect in the headphones, which is why I adjusted so many times today, but I hope on your end, it comes off good. So thanks again for watching, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.